Hi, I'm Jared.
And I'm Ebony, and this is his.
And hers, 40K.
Yay!
Yay! Today we'll be discussing Praetorian of Dorn, which I read about a year ago and Ebony just finished.
Just finished it.
Yep.
Super excited.
I thought it was an excellent book.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I usually don't. I'm gonna find a PC way to say this. I usually
You
don't
don't
find.
need to be PC. No one's checking us.
I usually don't find like the writing super engrossing in Warhammer. The occasional author, I'm like, oh, this writing is really great. But there was just a lot of great prose in this book. Like, I thought it was written really beautifully.
So, that's because this was your first John French book.
Is it my first one?
I think so. I can't think of any other John French book that he's written. He's done a bunch of short stories.
Okay.
He did the Araman trilogy, which I would like to give you at some point because it carries over all of that really good prose and like sort of mysticism that you sort of expect from the Thousand Sons that you kind of got from the book A Thousand Sons, but it's much more prominent in Araman.
Okay. Yeah, I thought this was just like really beautiful text, pretty easy to read. Definitely parts of the text that you could get 100% engrossed in, like, and not just like the flowery or mysterious parts that I like, but also like battle scenes that I could just get lost in reading.
Yep.
So I thought the writing was really great.
I find that there's a lot of 40K authors that kind of stumble a little bit on battles.
Well, it's usually like this thing exploded and this guy fell down, but I feel like there's definitely a battle scene that like happens in slow motion for Arcamus. Like he's watching Dorn like appear in the middle of enemies and just like destroy shit. And it's like very like
now, there is another
beautiful.
There is another very famous battle in the Horus Heresy that happens in slow motion.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
No.
From No Fear?
No.
Oh, when the Word Bearers first launch a ship directly into the Ultramarines fleet. Yeah. And it forms this huge fireball, and they're listing off all of the the individual ships that are being engulfed by it in this huge flame.
This doesn't sound pretty.
Oh, it's incredible. It's a really great scene, and you've read it.
Yeah, I'm bad at that.
You are. You're terrible. What else do we have to talk about? Was there a particular scene that
I love?
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene with Rogel Dorn, I guess I would say before reading this book, I didn't think I cared about Rogel Dorn.
Yep.
And I always got his legion confused with the other legion that sounds like his legion.
Iron Warriors?
Yeah.
Or?
Imperial Fists or Iron Hands. All of those guys. Well, okay. I remember the Iron Hands because I remember Ferrus Manus.
There you go.
But, like, yeah, Imperial Fists and Iron Warriors are just, like, the same legion in my head.
Yes, and that is a very common confusion among 40K fans. I feel like that happens a lot, especially for those coming from the Horus Heresy, where unless you really stick who is loyal and who is traitor, it's a lot harder to do that. Whereas in modern 40K, you've got chaos, corruption running around. Don't. Come on, you know this.
Are the Iron Warriors not loyalist? Is Perturabo a bad dude?
I'm going to let you think about that for a second.
All I know about Perturabo is he has a buzz cut.
Okay, first of all, that's wrong.
Does he not have a buzz cut?
No. That's Rogel Dorn.
In my head, they both have a buzz cut. Also, in my head, they were the same person until now.
Perturabo doesn't have hair.
Oh.
He just has, like, a nest of wires that connect to his armor.
Suspicious.
It's a bit like Angron. Okay. You know, kind of like the Butcher's Nails.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that, like, I don't know, I guess in my head, Rogel Dorn was kind of like a boring military dude.
Yep, which was true. Many people believe that.
And I personally wasn't impressed by that, so I just thought he wasn't super great. But then, like, in the flashback where Arcamus is in charge, or accidentally in charge, I think, of like, building a fortress on a world that's being overrun by orcs, like, he's been, like, shepherding this, what he thinks is some sort of, like, ambassador along, this guy Voss. And, like, Rogel Dorn shows up, and obviously shit has gone awry. There's orcs everywhere. Rogel Dorn shows up, and, like, he sees that guy, and they're like, yo, dude, what's up? And he hugs them, and Arcamus is like, why is this strange dude, like, hugging my Primarch? Like, what is happening? And turns out that this Voss guy is a writer and probably very early in the Remembrancer Legion, and like
Pre-remembrancer.
pre-Remembrancer, and Rogel Dorn describes him a little bit, just like in 2 or 3 sentences, and describes what the Remembrancers will be in the future, and it's kind of nice to have him talk about like preserving this art and why it's important to have this art and why it's important to have people talk about the crusade,
which is actually pretty interesting because
which I wouldn't have expected from a random military dude.
Well, thinking back on it, that is one of the few things that Rogel Dorn and Malkador actually agree on. Like in a whole bunch of other stories and short stories, those two butt heads very hard. Malkador is very much in favor of maintaining control of the warp and using psychers and dealing with sort of secrets and, understanding like there's a reason some things are on a need to know basis. Right. Rogel Dorn is not like that at all.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel that I got the impression that he's like not about secrets, and like the Imperial Fists are not about secrets, and then suddenly he sends Arcamus on this like secret mission, and then he shows up by surprise all the time, and suddenly he's a master of like keeping secrets, and I was impressed.
It's definitely a bit strange, especially what he decides to keep secret at the very end of the book.
Are we spoiling? Spoiler alert!
All the spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
We will have every spoiler.
What does he keep a secret? That Alfarius is dead?
Right.
Is it? But it's not a secret because Omegon knows. Oh well, I guess he
Omegon
says
knows.
No one says that this happened, right? Like nobody talks about this. Yeah.
No one. Why?
I don't know.
Because he doesn't want any other loyalists to suddenly get lax in their duties, to basically think, oh, we killed a traitor Primarch, we got this.
Yeah, they probably don't got this.
No. It's and until this book, like that is not a thing that is recorded anywhere else. The fact that Alfarius dies.
And we're like sure he's dead. 100%.
100% sure.
Because Omegon felt it. Like that's our selling point.
Also because at the first I believe it was a Black Library Weekender right after this book came out.
Okay.
There was a panel that John French was on, and the host of that panel, first question, turns to John French and goes, John, just to confirm, he's dead. And John goes, yes, 100%, without a doubt,
okay.
He is dead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm cool. I never think about the Alpha Legion really, so I'm cool with Alfarius being dead.
And the funny, like, post-heresy, there's one event. Well, the old lore is kind of interesting on this, because in the old lore, Guilliman kills Alfarius in a battle that takes place years after the Horus Heresy, during the Scouring.
Maybe he kills Omegon.
We don't know. But here's the weird thing. The Ultramarines have no records of this battle ever occurring.
Well, maybe history was rewritten such that Alfarius died later. That's a thing the Imperium would do.
I mean, this is true, yes. Although, in more recent lore, it's also come out that the Imperium has the death of Alfarius in writing confirmed at 6 different dates.
I mean, there are a lot of Alfariuses. Alfarii?
Alfarii, yeah.
There are multiple, even in this novel, there are multiple Alfarii, which I actually think is pretty cool.
That's a big deal for the Alpha Legion.
Yeah.
But it's not their whole deal. And I think the other half that you get a little bit in this book, you get much more of it in the book Talarn, but it's something that was introduced in the Horus Heresy Black books. It's that this whole I am Alfarius, all this subterfuge, all this hiding, that's half of the Legion. That is the hidden half of the Legion.
Right.
The other half is the face. It is an Alpha Legion that wants you and everyone else to know that they are the Alpha Legion. This is the thing that they're doing, and they're damn proud of it. And they will go into battle in like glorious color schemes with all this heraldry and markings.
Well, I mean, that's the carrot.
Well,
the stick is the secret Legion.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's never been clear, and what they kind of purposefully keep a secret, is this sort of very prideful, outward-facing view, is that all fake that they put on?
Probably.
Well, maybe. Because why does Alpharius confront Rogel Dorn?
Why wouldn't he?
What do you mean, why wouldn't he?
You mean, well, because a regular Space Marine's not going to kill a Primarch. If you want to kill a Primarch, you have to send a Primarch.
Is that true, though? What happened to Guilliman? Unremembered Empire?
No one killed Guilliman.
Oh, really?
Is Guilliman dead?
There was a hit team of Alpha Legionnaires that went against Guilliman, and he almost died.
But he didn't.
No, but he probably would have if the Space Wolves hadn't intervened.
I suppose. Yeah, but if you want to kill a Primarch with Space Marines, you need to send a whole bunch of Space Marines. But if you want to kill a Primarch with another Primarch, you just send one Primarch.
Or, there's a whole bunch of other theories on this.
What?
One is that Alpharius stayed loyal. And that all of this plotting, everything that he did in this book, was to help Rogel Dorn shore up the defenses of Terra.
Okay.
And that he was coming to Rogel Dorn to basically reveal his, aha, I'm actually loyal and I'm here to help you.
By trying to kill him?
Yes. It'll make you stronger.
Unless I kill you.
He wouldn't. He might have.
He killed him.
He didn't. Oh, wait, you mean Rogel Dorn?
Yes.
Yes, that's because Rogel Dorn doesn't deal with any of that bullshit.
Yeah, he killed him.
Rogel Dorn doesn't care for any of that.
I feel like that's a bad plan if your plan ends with you getting killed.
Well, if Alpharius was as prideful as the Legion would suggest, he didn't even think that Rogel Dorn would try and kill him. He believed, well, I'm Alpharius. He would be impressed by all that I've done and would listen to what I had to say.
Yeah, but his job is to protect Terra, and he perceives you as a threat. And if he's anything, it's efficient. So he would eliminate that threat. I feel like Rogel Dorn might be my spirit animal.
Man, switching away from Fulgrim, huh?
I do love Fulgrim. But he's not super efficient.
No, he is not.
Everything takes forever.
Well, you know who also had everything take forever? Alpharius.
Yeah, I mean, it did. This was a lot of planning for a long time.
It's not just the Terra. In that same, well, not that same flashback scene, but related flashback scene.
Yeah.
Alpharius and this a similar engagement happens with Alpharius and Guilliman, where Alpharius will seed a planet with cultists and agents and start up all this turmoil. And completely take down the whole planet from the inside out. And it will take months. Months and months. But not a single Alpha Legionnaire will die doing it. And Guilliman looked at this and went, it's okay if a few die if we get it done in 1/10 of the time. You know, you went for an absurd level of perfection at a complete waste of time. And in the old lore, Alpharius is incensed by this.
Yeah.
And is one of the key reasons why he sides with Horus. Also...
Well, he had that problem with Rogel Dorn, too.
He did, yes.
In the flashback
similar,
in this book.
Similar events, yes.
Where he had, planned for this entire government to fall while the Imperial Fists were just kind of fighting these people. But to be fair, Alpharius' Legion might be the reason they surrendered, because, their prince was not ready to surrender to Rogel Dorn and the Emperor, but then Alpharius' operatives murdered his entire family, so he surrendered. Yeah. So maybe that is the way to do it.
That's fair.
Ends justify the means.
That's
an Alpharius quote. And a Malcolm X quote.
And a whole bunch of other people's quotes.
Written more prettily by John French.
Did you know Alpharius was the only Primarch who was not discovered by the Emperor?
I don't think I knew that.
He was discovered by Horus.
That seems like it would portend bad things.
Well, so there's a lot of theories behind the origin of Alpharius. Okay. And in the Horus Heresy Black Books, they do a wonderful setup where they have 5 distinct origin stories. Well written. He was captured by Xenos pirates. He was raised on a feral world. He conquered a floating space station and move that all around. He didn't realize who Horus was, and so actually snuck on board his ship attempting to assassinate him. And every one of those stories ends with, this account is a lie. And so it's like,
well, what is the real
what
account?
if we don't know? You know, we're all these.
Were they discovered together, Alpharius and Omegon?
That is an answer we do not have.
Okay.
Who even knows of the existence of Omegon is a little up in the air.
So is the question: is there not an Omegon?
Oh, there is an Omegon.
Okay.
Yes, that's he exists.
Is he a Primarch?
Yes.
Okay.
But Alpharius and Omegon share one soul.
Okay.
Like, that's sort of the easiest way to explain
That's
it.
weird.
It's very weird.
But they have two separate bodies, so at some point someone had to discover both of them. Or
maybe.
right.
So
I guess one could have discovered the other.
So the evidence that we have is there's a flashback scene, I want to say in the first Heretic, it might have been in a different book, where someone is like back in time or viewing the Emperor's lab, and they see one of the like the big test tubes, and there's something with 4 arms in it.
Ah, so you think there was one Alpharius and they got split in half?
Right. At some point.
Okay.
Whether or not that was the Emperor doing it or like the chaos.
Chaos business. Right.
The other evidence is that Lorgar, when he first wrote the Lectitio Divinitas, he made custom copies for all the Primarchs.
Okay.
He gave the Alpha Legion 2 copies.
Implying that he knows there's 2 Primarchs.
Right.
Got it.
In a short story that you haven't read yet, but what is a fascinating short story in which Malkador and the Emperor play a game of regicide, or some like version of regicide.
I feel like every space fantasy has fancy chess.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to make a space fantasy, it has to have a fancy chess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a neat version that Lehman Russ and Malkador play with each other that involves like terrain that moves.
Yes.
I thought that was cool. Anyway, in that short story, Alpharius, they're sort of using it to plot out, not really plot out the Horus Heresy, but try and figure out like where everything is and how it's going to end. And something in that short story that I found interesting was if Rogel Dorn would have made it to Istvan rather than being stopped at Fall, Alpharius and Omegon both would have been traitors.
So they're not both traitors?
We don't know. According to that short story, whatever they are, they're not the same. Yeah.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Unless Alpharius was actually the loyalist, in which case the Alpha Legion only has Omegon now.
And now they're bad.
And now they're 100% bad.
Right. That
because
sucks.
The whole idea with the Alpha Legion is if they were actually following this whole Cabal's plan and they were actually loyal, sorry, I just spit on you.
Oh. I was like, I don't know why you're rubbing me. Cool.
And they were actually loyal. We don't really know if anyone else in the Alpha Legion knew that. And if they just thought, okay, we're siding with Horus now.
Right, and we did. I mean, as the Space Marines are just like, we'll do whatever our boss says.
Right, for the most part.
Yeah.
And so if the boss is suddenly gone, they wouldn't have any reason to think that they were secretly loyalists.
Right, and he wouldn't have told them because secrets.
Because secrets, yes. That's the Alpha Legion nutshell. Because secrets.
Yeah.
Almost like the Eldar in that regard.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got way off topic in that.
We did, yeah. I don't.
Going back to Praetorian of Dorn.
I think a really like underappreciated set of characters are like these humans that help wake up the Alpha Legion. Like they're like operatives that like dig them out of the ground in the desert.
They're great.
Yeah, and like sneak them into facilities. I also thought that whole like sneaking into the Hydra control station was very cool. Right? So they like and on our side, I guess the good side. That's not really my side. But on the loyalist side, there's
it is if you're sticking with Rogel Dorn.
I mean, I can appreciate him. I just feel like I'm not sure I trust the Emperor, and he doesn't talk enough, so I don't have a good sense of him. But yeah, on the loyalist side, we have the that like weird techno cult girl from Luna,
Uh
Andromeda, and that's super cool. And Arcamus and like his grumpy sidekick, who's like not about any of it. Kestros?
huh. I don't remember.
Yeah, so like
I think
Arcamus
so.
goes on this mission and like
I'm atrociously terrible with names. So I remember roles. I remember like individuals. I remember the plots. Names, nothing.
I think Arcamus brings this guy Kestros or Kesteros with him to kind of temper like because Dorn sent him on this like secret
Mm-hmm.
operative mission and like it's freaking him out because that's not how the Imperial Fist work. And Kestros is like an underling of Arcamus who is
Mm.
like a new recruit, but he's very like by the book Imperial Fist, and I think Arcamus brings him in case like it goes too crazy. So like
Right.
they go to get
It's his
yeah,
rock. Like if
right.
I suddenly start doing
Crazy stuff,
crazy
yeah.
stuff,
So they go to get this girl Andromeda from the Luna cult, and like she's saying all these like
yeah,
mean things
the
about the
gene
Legion, yeah.
cults.
And Kestros is like, can we just kill this chick? Like, why are we getting this? Do we need her? What if we just murder her? What if we get the whole Legion and we just murder her? And her Camus is like, that's not what we're here for. But it's really cool because they like she's like the 17th clone of
Mm-hmm.
her original person, and she's like super smart, and they pull her into this subterfuge because she is just interested in the intellectual exercise of like trying to figure out what the Alpha Legion is
Oh,
doing.
I'm super excited for you to eventually read the Great Work because what you see in this is during Old Night and during the War of Unification, there was so much like high science
Mm-hmm.
that was going on everywhere on Luna, on Mars, on Earth. Like there were so many, and like even further out, like really crazy Dark Ages technology stuff,
Yeah.
and many of them look at the Emperor and they look at like the legions,
And they're like, you're doing this badly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what is this
Yeah.
shit?
It's like how scientists feel about like non-genetically modified bananas. Like all bananas are genetically modified. We just didn't know how to genetically modify things, so we just mixed bananas and hope for the best. Yeah, yeah, definitely got the sense from her and the woman who was guarding her on Luna that they were just like, Space Marines suck. Even Primarchs aren't that great. Like she just thinks that they are just these like not advanced beings,
Mm.
not capable of like advanced deduction, and she just is always like unimpressed by her Camus, and Kestros is like, murder her.
Well, because a lot of Marines of a lot of legions would do that.
Yeah, and
You
like
know?
it's interesting because our Camus is like, well, we can't murder her, but we can try and like get her interested in this. Like, where are you going? You're just sinking.
Well, because he kept rubbing on this. And yeah, there you go. You're fine.
And like Arcamus kept trying, like he just kept her a little bit on the leash, interested in
Mhm.
like finding out what's going on Terra. I also really appreciate like getting to see kind of the day to day works of Terra as
Mhm.
the Alpha Legion infiltrate them, but still like giant locks and how do you get supplies into this planet of billions and billions of this system of hundreds of billions of people and like how you transport things and like what a large cartel family is.
Yep.
Like, so all that stuff was really cool. But yes, I think the human characters are really well done in this book, which I don't think happens a lot anymore.
John French, in general, does a very good human character. I
Yeah.
feel John French and David Annandale,
Mhm.
who did Damnation of Pythos,
Mhm.
I feel they do excellent human
Humans,
characters.
yeah. This Ms. Murda, I never figured out how to say her name while reading it. It's
Who's
like
this?
so she is like the lead operative of the excavation team that wakes up
that's right.
Salonius
Yeah.
and the rest of the Alpha Legionnaires. And she has been somehow enhanced by the Alpha Legion, but you can't see it. But
Mhm.
like she like runs faster and fights better and etc. And it's really interesting that they're like everyone's on this mission that no one knows what the mission parameters are. And people just like come and go from this mission at random, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I guess that's what is. Are those your instructions?" And the other person's like, "Yeah, those are my instructions." And they're like, "Okay, we'll just like mutually agree that this is the right thing to do."
That's the way the Alpha Legion works.
It's
you know?
very interesting.
I wrote an essay a while back about the Alpha Legion in which I talked about I personally believe they are the Legion who is the most internally trusting.
Mm.
That basically every Alpha Legionnaire must believe fully that the other Alpha Legionnaires
Are doing
are
their
doing
job.
their
Yeah.
job and they have instructions that make sense
Yeah.
with what is going on.
Yeah, because like Salonius isn't with them. He's like breaking into Terra and like breaking into the palace and starting chaos, and then he just shows up on their mission that's like all over the place, and he's like Hydra, and they're like cool, and he's like I'm the boss now, and they're like okay, and everyone just like goes about their life, which is pretty cool. Ms. Murda, are you trying to figure out how to say her name?
I am, yeah.
There's a Z in there and a Y.
Ms. Madra.
Ms. Madra.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is so, and she has like this dude in Carnus who's her
And-
like psyker, also operative, but he's kind of a coward. Like most of the book, he's like, "Oh no, we're gonna die."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but then he gets captured by Andromeda and Arcamus and Kestros.
Was that Ashul?
No, that's in Carnus.
Oh, in Carnus, yeah. There's
Ashul
progression
stays
savant.
with Ms. Madra
Yeah.
the whole time, and in fact, I think towards the end of the book, I think like when everything is going down and they're on Hydra and all the forces are there and they're fighting, I believe that Andromeda kills Incarnus, but like because like we thought that they had him and Andromeda thought that she had him, but then she didn't. Like she like psychic locks on him and he was like, I'm a super psychic gene cultist. Like these locks don't work. And so he was trying to like defect back to the Alpha Legion operatives, and Andromeda killed him on Hydra, and Ms. Madra just walked away. Like, yep, that's cool, it's fine, bye. And so it's like her and Ashul, and they get back on their like skiff to escape, and Ashul's like, are we just leaving everyone? And Ms. Madra's like, yeah, bye,
Yep.
we gotta go.
They might show up in one of the Siege of Terra books.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, are their mission parameters over, or are they like?
Not sure. I have not read those yet, but I will. Who else? What do you think? So Sigismund, I think, shows up
Just like
near the end.
yeah, briefly near the end, leading a fleet to help support them, right? Because like so I can't remember the name of the ship that Arcamus is on, but it's pretty large, and they are because like the Alpha Legion fleet is like a fleet of what looks like debris, just like rolling through space, and only Arcamus knows that, right? Like he knows that they're going for Hydra, but he knows that a mass of Alpha Legion fleet is coming. So, like, while the other small crafts that are supposed to be protecting the Hydra station are engaging, he just, like, makes a beeline with his mostly falling apart craft, like, directly to the middle of the Alpha Legion fleet, and they're about to die. And then I think Sigismund and his fleet show up, and Dorn shows up.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, great. Like, his captain's like, oh, man, we're saved. Like, the Phalanx is here.
What did you think about them going for, Station Hydra as their target?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I was like, is that on purpose? Is it named Hydra? Who named it?
I mean, it's named Hydra, but also that's the symbol of the Alpha.
I know, but that's what I meant. Like, is it named by Alpha Legion?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Who else? So, I can't remember how much they feature in this, but like Fafnir Ron and Cattlefalk. Do those names sound familiar?
No, but that sounds hilarious.
Demetrius Cattlefalk and Fafnir Ron.
I don't remember them at all.
They were other Imperial fists that show up. So they go on to be chapter masters of.
I feel like their names seemed familiar to me, and I thought I should know these people, but I didn't know them. And
yeah, so Fafnir Ron was an assault captain who's like a close friend of Sigismund, I believe.
Okay.
He basically looks like a space wolf for the most part, and he's sort of like a weird fit. He goes on to found the Executioners chapter, and then Demetrius, who will actually be one of the major, one of the coordinators of the siege, like sort of defending the walls.
Okay.
He will go on to be the chapter master of the Excoriators.
Got it.
So
I feel like large spoiler alert. Arcamus dies at the end of this book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We just missed that. Like he dies watching Dorn kill like Alfarius. He like jumps in the way of Alfarius' spear and takes it. And Dorn watches him die after he kills Alfarius, and then Kesteros becomes Arcamus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did you think of? I mean, Arcamus not actually being
Arcamus?
Arcamus.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool story, but also confusing for people who record your history because no one has their right name anymore. Yeah, I thought it was really cool to hear about his indoctrination into the Imperial Fist and how like his lack of ability to follow orders got his best friend Arcamus killed, and so when he takes his oath to Rogel Dorn, he takes like an oath name, and the oath name is Arcamus, but that's not his actual name.
Right. It was
his name is like Kai.
Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah, which until I got to that end, I kept thinking like, who is this person?
Yeah.
You know, there's clearly someone else named Arcamus.
Yeah. And now Kestros is named Arcamus.
Yes. Yep. So the name just sort of keeps getting passed off.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there anyone like post-heresy
named Arcamus?
Like, nothing comes to mind.
No.
And
if they are, it's Kestros.
Right.
Right? It's still Kestros.
Yep.
I also feel like I don't remember until this book, like, direct transport being a thing. I know it must have been
teleportation?
A thing. Yeah, because
teleportation has always been a thing.
I guess they don't I don't remember it being discussed in as much detail in other books. It's super cool.
Oh, it's done a lot. So generally, you only do teleportation if you're in Terminator armor. You know, because teleportation is basically you are going into the warp.
Yeah.
You're basically making a really tiny warp jump of yourself.
Yeah. And like a lot of people end up inside walls.
Yeah. Like this is not Star Trek teleportation.
Yeah, it's really bad teleportation.
This is terrifying to do. And in fact, many in the Space Wolves Legion just won't do it.
No. Yeah. Well, the Alpha Legion didn't have a problem with
that.
And they also had like a teleportation selector. So like when the Imperial Fist tried to teleport onto Hydra Station, they had like a beacon that pulls all teleports to one place, which ended very badly for the Imperial Fist. They all got teleported into a locked room.
Yep.
Which sucked.
Yeah, the other thing is Terminator armor also has a built-in teleportation beacon, which makes it much more accurate in terms of like getting you back and forth.
But also much more accurate in terms of other people being able to pull you where they want, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, if they can lock onto you.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool. That was like a thing that I didn't see a lot of.
I think
like giant Terminators appearing mists of warp.
I mean, it's very common in post-heresy stories like that. The Terminator teleporting in somewhere is like a staple of 40K, I would say. But it's not as it's not as common pre-heresy because usually they're not doing those sort of smaller strikes like that.
Right.
They come in on Thunderhawks, on Stormbirds, on drop pods that have like 20, 30, 100 Legionnaires on them.
Or you come in the way that Alpha Legion operators did by exploding the shields on the space station and just going through the glass of the bridge.
Oh, I forgot that scene. That was cool.
They explode. I imagine that this bridge on the space station was like this giant bubble, and it was full of like psychers because also it's the hub of communications. Right.
It's an astropathic choir.
So they just a lot of ground operatives are coming in sort of the hard way, but it's hard because they have to get past the Black Guard for the astropaths, which they do by saying, like, we have these dead astropaths, let us in.
Yep.
And the Black Guard's like, we're on lockdown. He's like, all right, I'm going to just throw these dead astropaths into the void then. And they're like, well, you can't do that. So they just let them in, which seems like poor military planning, but...
Astropaths are pretty important.
Yeah, but they were dead. But, like, that's what he said. He's like, well, you can be responsible for me just, like, voiding these dead astropaths. And I guess the leader of the astropathic choir is like, no, we have to go get our fallen. So they'll, like, open this door and go out there. And then, like, Ms. Madra and she'll, like, kill all the astropaths that come outside.
Yeah.
And then they get locked outside, I think. Like, one of the Black Guard makes it back in, and they lock the doors, and she's stuck outside. And Incarnus is, like, trying to techno it open. And then Salonius is like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to explode this guy. And he just, like, explodes the glass into the control room and comes in from space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
and then killed all the astropaths in their cradle. And then opened the door like, this is cool. It's cool now. It was a very cool scene.
Astropaths do have a tendency of dying a lot in stories.
Yeah, it makes it seem like they're not that important, except they are that important, right?
Incredibly important, yeah. And the funny thing is, they are pretty much the safest, like, career path a psyker could have
Yeah,
in terms of like life expectancy,
true.
except for maybe like a Space Marine librarian, but
Okay.
that's about it.
That's not super safe though, because you're still a space marine.
You're still a Space Marine, but you're trained
You're
up to.
advanced.
You'll probably
Yeah,
live a few, 100 years or so.
that's true. Yeah.
But most of the other.
But like being an astropath makes it not great. It's not great for your personal physical health. It seems
No,
like.
it tends to wear away.
Yeah,
a
this
lot.
guy who's the head astropath had 0 eyes,
Well,
and
no,
his
no,
eye sockets
all-
were full of rubies.
All astropaths have no eyes.
But yeah, but their eyes are closed. This guy just had open holes full of rubies. It
Yeah,
was very creepy.
That's because he was like high up and was like, check out my wealth.
The higher up you get, the creepier your eye holes get.
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Did you read The Outcast Dead?
I believe so.
Like there was an astropath, like that book was from the point of view of an astropath who was sort of like a young cocksure type astropath, and he's like, I want my eyesight back. So he put like cybernetic eyes in, so he could see normally as well.
Mm-hmm.
But normally all astropaths, like when they go through the soul binding, which means they stand before the light of the emperor.
Okay.
And first of all, it almost always burns out their eyes. Occasionally takes another sense or two.
Okay.
But it soul binds them to the emperor, which basically gives
Can you
them.
do it without burning out your eyes?
So far,
No.
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why again are we choosing this path? Because it's safe?
Because
Except for the burning out of your eyes part.
you don't need your eyes if you're being an astropath, for the most part.
You need your eyes if you're being a live human, though.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. Tell that to servitors or like any number of other individuals.
I would like to keep my eyes.
I'm aware. But the astropaths, they get soul-bound, and that gives them protection when they're constantly sending messages through the warp. Like, astropaths are way more protected from, like, possession, from demonic whispers, from, like, all that nasty stuff. It's actually pretty beneficial to have. Like, an astropath, unless they're regularly doing a lot of, like, high-intensity communication through, like, really, like, warp-riled areas.
They're mostly fine.
They're mostly okay,
All right. Ruby eyes.
Ruby eyes for the really good astropaths.
Okay.
Those are the ones.
Well, I mean, I think he was the head of the entire Hydra station. Which also, why is the head of the entire Hydra station answering the door?
I mean, because he was the guy in charge.
I suppose, but the person in charge does not open the door.
That depends on if you're a lead from the front type person.
I suppose. I guess that's it. What's the take-home synopsis of Praetorian of Dorn?
Alfarius is dead.
Rogel Dorn's a badass.
Rogel Dorn is pretty badass.
No one named Arcamus is alive.
No one named Arcamus is alive. And Terra is almost ready for the siege, maybe?
I'm so excited.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel like I've been waiting like 5 years for the Emperor to fight Horus.
You're going to be waiting a lot longer than
I
that.
just want it to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like we know because there is
Of course,
post-heresy.
Of course we know.
Like, the Emperor isn't going to die, really, so let's just get it over with. Get to the fighting. And also more demons.
You know there are 8 books in the Siege of Terra,
I
right?
know. Why?
And you personally are about 7 books away from the Siege of Terra.
Just like...
We'll skip ahead.
What's our next book?
Our next book is...
Have we chosen a book?
I think so.
What is it? I should
We are
start
going to
reading it.
read Slaves to Darkness.
That sounds good. That sounds like something that would be up my alley.
So that is a Horus Heresy book from the Trader side
Okay.
of them basically just gathering up on their push to Terra.
Okay.
You know, at this point, many of the Trader Primarchs haven't been seen in years.
Okay.
You know, they've all sort of gone off on their own ways.
I feel like I haven't heard a lot about Goldface.
Goldface, really? Oh, that's what we're going with, huh?
You know who I mean. Lorgar. I feel like I
Yes.
haven't heard a lot about Lorgar lately.
Okay.
I haven't heard a lot about Angron lately.
Well, maybe we should switch to something else.
I haven't heard a lot. I don't want to hear more about Lorgar or Angron. I just want to hear about Horus and the Emperor.
Well,
But-
you'll get that in a little
I
bit.
feel like I haven't heard a lot about Lorgar. a lot about Angron. We know where Conrad Kurz is. I haven't.
Oh, that's the one thing. You won't hear about Conrad.
Yeah, he's just in that jail.
He's in that jail.
I guess we heard a little bit about Mortarion, wherein I feel like the last time I heard of Mortarion, he was like, Horus is an idiot. You're all idiots. I hate you all. I don't know if he's going to show up at Terra, because he doesn't really like anyone.
Okay.
Who else is bad?
Perturabo.
I keep forgetting that he's bad, and I never hear anything about him. So
Fulgrim.
we haven't heard anything from Fulgrim in a while.
Magnus.
He's not dead.
That's all you're going to go with, huh?
Yeah, he's not dead.
Magnus is in the Vulcan category?
Yeah, he lives. Didn't he
lives.
get, like, shunted to a planet by accidental magic?
Accidental, maybe not.
Accidental on purpose.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
But yes.
Yeah, so, like, I imagine...
Oh, yes, you haven't read The Crimson King.
No, it's like...
We may or may not have you read that.
In my head, the people who are showing up are Horus, maybe Lorgar.
Okay.
Maybe Mortarion. If I were Magnus, I would show up, because I feel like Magnus has the largest bone to pick with the Emperor. I feel like if I were Magnus, I would have started my own assault on Terra by now. Yeah, so, like, I don't really know who's showing up with Horus. I guess the Alpha Legion. The Alpha Legion have shown up. And so we're still waiting for Lofty, Angry, and Angsty to get to Terra.
Lofty, Angry, and Angsty
are on their way to support the Emperor.
Who is Lofty, Angry, and Angsty?
Guilliman, the Lion, and Sanguinius. Because I was really over him in the last book.
That's fair.
It's just like, I don't want to be an Emperor. Shut up.
Sanguinius has a common problem in the Horus Heresy series of telling and not showing.
Yeah, I'm not about it. So those three are probably going to show up from Imperium Secundus. Yeah, who the hell's going to show up to support Horus?
Well, I guess you'll find out.
I want to know. All right, that's it for us. What's up next? The Slaves to Darkness?
Slaves to Darkness or Ruinstorm, depending on if you want to do the traitor side or the loyalist side. Yeah, we're doing Slaves to Darkness.
Slaves to Darkness.
Slaves to Darkness. I'll give you that book then.
Then we will see you guys for Slaves to Darkness.
Yep.
In a couple weekends, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.